Hello, everybody. This is Connor here to share with you my focus control rating scale assessment, where we rated ourselves on each question, a total of 12 of them. So I'll just dive right in, get going with the very first question, which states, I am so focused during my performances that everything else disappears. I get so absorbed in what I am doing or pursuing that nothing else in the world exists for me during that time. I gave myself an 8 on that because when it does come to performances, I do feel like I try to block everything out. That's been something that I've been trained to do from a younger age. And, through coaching, through the development of my career, and dating all the way back to when I was a student of the game or a student of sport or just a student in school, I learned very quickly that focus was one of the primary elements to becoming a more diligent student, and it helped obviously learn exponentially better than trying to figure things out on my own, not focusing. So I do try to stay in the now and get absorbed in what I am doing. So I do it well, but probably not the best, and so that's why I gave myself an 8 on that one. Next question. I focus on keeping my performance totally in the present, in the here and now. And that one, similarly to the first question, I gave myself a 9 because to me, being in the present means absolutely maintaining that focus. And if you're not completely focused, if you're not completely in the present, then you're not going to be able to regain that entire moment of clarity. If you're living in the future, thinking too much ahead, or living in the past and dwelling on things that happened already before, then a lot of times I'm unable to focus well in those situations. So by keeping myself in the present, that's why I gave myself a 9. The next question says, I refocus quickly back into my completely absorbing best focus, even if I become momentarily distracted or nervous, or make a mistake in performance situations. I wanted to relate this one to the fifth question too, which also says, I quickly regain a high quality, fully connected focus when distracted in practice or preparation sessions. The difference here was that for the first question, in performance situations, I gave myself a 7. But when I get distracted in practice situations or not performance, practice or preparation sessions, I tend to have a much more difficult time regaining my focus. If I'm thrown off my momentum, off my groove in anything that I'm doing in practice or anything like that, then it's much harder for me to get back on my groove, on my momentum, what I was talking about, what I was thinking about. In performance situations, it's different because I feel like I'm completely engaged a lot more than in practice sometimes. And if something throws me off, I can bounce right back and totally understand just to keep on that track. So there's definitely a learning curve that I need to work on from practice sessions or preparation sessions, and learning how to manipulate that focus that I'm able to do in performance situations and just become better in practice situations. So I give myself a 4 for the practice preparation situations where I regain a fully connected focus. Not very good at that. Definitely room for improvement. And in performance situations, I give myself a 7. Fourth question says, I maintain a high quality, fully connected focus in practice or prep situations, or sessions, I should say. And that I do. In those situations, I can completely clear my mind. Like I mentioned in question 2, I stay in the present, and I feel like that's a strength of mine, so I give myself a 9. Next couple questions that were similar. It says, before I perform, I focus on things that make me feel confident and ready. I give myself a 7, and it could be higher. Sometimes it is, but there are also times that I feel like I do not completely feel confident and ready before a practice or a situation if I'm a little underprepared. And I try to have a system, a weekly system and a daily system, where every day I'm prepared for what I'm going to do. I set an agenda. I set a weekly weekly agenda as well on top of a daily one. But if something gets in the way of that and I do not have anything fully mapped out, then I could be a little underprepared. And so I did give myself a 7 because usually I am confident and ready before I perform. But if, like I said, if I'm underprepared, then that's a little bit of a weakness. So I give myself a 7. Usually I'm pretty strong at that. Before I perform, I decide to bring my best focus in this performance. Now that one's different because I do have the cognitive ability to decide whether or not I'm going to bring my focus into the performance. That I am strong at. I can, when I decide to do it, I commit to it. So I gave myself a 9 on that one. This was my favorite one and the one that I set the highest score. I said I have a strong inner confidence that I can do anything I set my mind to if I fully focus on doing it. That's a 10. Thoroughly believe that if I can completely commit to something and focus on it and believe in myself, then I'm going to commit and I'm going to do it. So I give myself a 10. That was the highest one. The last couple that I want to highlight are the last 9, 10, and 11, saying I focus through errors, bad calls, situations that go against me within a performance, and I focus right back on the step in front of me. And the next couple questions were similar. I stay motivated and completely focused even when behind, when facing obstacles or setbacks. And lastly, I focus on learning from setbacks, criticism, or errors and turn them into positive opportunities. These ones are definitely ones that I could improve on a little bit. When something negative happens in either practice situations or in performance situations, I don't do the best job of letting it go immediately. It kind of sticks in the back of my head. Why did this go wrong? What could I have done better? And instead of leaving that behind for something to analyze later, I might focus a little too hard during that time thinking about it. So those are things I can get better at. Those scores were 6s and 7s. And then the very last one says, after a performance, I focus on what I did well and how I could be better in my next performance. And I act on those lessons. And that one I gave myself a 7, probably could be higher for sure. But by analyzing myself, whether it's, post school, post coaching, anything after a match or an exam, I could do a better job assessing what went well and what I could do to improve that. So anyway, those are my results. Hopefully I can find some similarities in your guys' answers and look forward to seeing you down the road. Thanks.